Okay, hello Traverse City, let's do this.
Here in the South Bronx, we're growing our way into a whole new economy. And that's beautiful. Where there are no jobs and no access, now we're creating it. Most of my kids come to me from foster care, homelessness, many have special needs. But when we started really making money at our farmers market, the first thing our kids did is decided we were going to sponsor orphanages. So as much as my kids received, they were able to give. I'm proud of them. My first group of kids came back today on their time to tutor the next generation of kids. So when you give kids experiences, you move them into spheres of success that they've never had. And most importantly, when they come here and get the skills that they need, they become employees elsewhere. We're planting seeds, seeds of hope, seeds of opportunity, and seeds of a new economy. Here in the South Bronx, we are harvesting hope and cultivating minds.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here to open your eyes, and I want to open your eyes because I'm one guy, and I want everyone to imagine the possibilities because we're hearing about such wonderful possibilities. So you're thinking about the way you're thinking. You're getting dizzy, and I'm talking faster, and you're getting dizzy, and I'm talking faster. But you're thinking about the way you're thinking. And I have a question for you. Is this glass half empty or half full? Talk to me. Again? It is 100% full. Exactly, 100% full of two things that everybody needs, clean air and clean water. So, I want to introduce you to this concept that I call endless resourcefulness, which can be as simple as taking garbage and turning it into something with an endless lifetime, with an endless product life. Now, I'm affectionately known in some regards as El Capitan de los Pollitos, the captain of the crazy little chickens, and I have quite a few. Because I work in a school, and I have this fundamental belief that kids should not have to leave their neighborhood to live, learn, and earn in a better one. That neither zip code, nor birthplace, nor parents should determine a kid's destiny. And that's what I go to school with every day, along with a little bit of enthusiasm and a whole lot of good intention. And I really like practicing these random acts of genius. But along the way, I've noticed that we're living in what I call this age of Nintendo versus nature, and the reality is kids aren't even playing Nintendo anymore. They're like, what is it, Xbox 360 or Men of Call of I don't know. But kids are so, and the reality is, my kids are getting bigger and fatter and sicker. I have 200-pound sixth graders, and the emergency room has become the primary source of health care for most kids in inner cities. And that's not healthy for anybody. In an extraction-based economy, these are the realities. And more importantly, I just recently learned that 70% of all kids that I see labeled learning disabled would not be if their parents had just access to prenatal nutrition. So this is a problem that we can cure in the United States and globally tomorrow just by eating right. Now, the reality of my community, the poorest congressional district in America, looks like this. And that's tough. And then this, believe it or not, my school is 2 blocks up from here. I teach 2 blocks up and 2 blocks in. And 60% of the garbage in New York City passes through this community every day. So as jobs continue to be exported and energy is imported, it's no wonder why people refer to certain neighborhoods across America as a desert. But I'm here to change all that, because while safe is good, I like equitable, transformational. I like the multiplier effect. And while sustainability is an entry point, if I were to ask you, how's your relationship with your husband and your wife, and you told me sustainable, I'd say, ugh. That's just the beginning, people. We've got to become transformational. We need a multiplier effect. So I want to tell you about this little vertical wall thing that we're doing. That represents 700 tomato plants in a 10-foot by 1-foot footprint. Pretty cool for a guy who grew up looking at rocks and bricks. And I just wanted to bring that into my classroom. So it all starts with kids, and it's all about planting seeds. And these are my kids, and these are my schoolyards. And these are our playgrounds. Great place to be if you're a stray bullet, or a broken glass. You want to get out and move here? Yeah, you show me how. So these are the realities that I'm confronted with on a daily basis. And so what I'm determined to do by being here is hoping that my reach will exceed my grasp so I can inspire a whole generation of champion teachers and champion community developers and champion students and champion innovators. But it all starts with kids in classrooms. And I'm always growing something. The cool thing about plants is they don't die. Well, they do die sometimes, but they just need water. They don't eat their young, and they don't float. So it's really, It's manageable for me. And you see how attentive my kids are to these plants. And literally, these plants become blacktop that we dig up and become farms across the Bronx, which is rather remarkable in and of itself. But I wanted kids in school. So I figured that if I could start putting walls like this inside classrooms in schools, I'd be onto something and partnering it with real hands-on learning experiences, and the kids loved it. And lo and behold, they loved it so much that we started doing certified designs. We started getting certified in the technology. And here we are designing walls and installing them all across New York City. That's up in Boston. And that's part of the youngest nationally certified workforce in America. And what did we do? Well, we transferred this technology and then started marrying it to the new innovation stuff. LED lighting and taking horribly institutional buildings. Most of my classrooms don't even have windows. And really growing food inside walls. And, you know, for me, the greening of America starts with the pockets, as in lettuce and cabbage in the pockets. Then it goes to the hearts, and then it goes to the minds. So when you can start greening kids' pockets, you start really changing mindsets. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my harvest in the South Bronx. And this right here, this is my tool of mass instruction. Now, for college kids, I probably got a much bigger shovel somewhere. But right now, this is, you know, it's handheld, it's in a classroom, and it works real well. And what do I do with this food? Well, there are my heirloom kids making heirloom sauce in my bulletproof school with plastic forks and plastic knives and an electric stove. And where does it go? Well, right into the cafeteria, which is kind of cool, where we're doing culturally relevant food. And this is the youngest nationally certified workforce in America, on the roof of the Bronx Borough President's office, which is kind of cool. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Yeah, thank you. Because I call this from South Bronx to Southampton, because when kids who look at landscape like you saw before can start installing landscape that looks like this in the Hamptons, that's what I call a si se puede moment. Pays well, too. Then the following summer, we moved in. This is my Jefferson's moment. You know, we moved on up. And my kids from the poorest congressional district in America came out to the Hamptons, and we moved in. And we started installing roofs that look like this with technology like that, with sedum grown. And when kids from the poorest congressional district in America can do this, guess what? We can do this. And I'll tell you what, their pants stayed up all summer long in the Hamptons, too. And that's what we're growing. Now, you may ask yourself, what does this green graffiti really do besides change mindsets and landscapes? Well, I'll tell you what it does. Because this guy, a local contractor, figured it out. He said, my future farmers are really the next generation of American workers, which we just heard about moments ago. And we started taking abandoned buildings in our neighborhood and advocating for them. And lo and behold, doing jobs that, you know, can't be outsourced. I'm not getting an electrician from China, not this week. And we take abandoned buildings, and when you can configure them to have exteriors that look like that, and interiors that look like that, it truly is. And with kids who are now first in his family to have a bank account in 3 generations, one on left, an immigrant student who now has a bank account, speaks in 3 languages, my #1 installer in New York City. It's what I call a CNN moment. We said, hey, come on down, come visit my classroom. They were welcome. So they did. I like to call it unbelievable. But more importantly, how applicable is this? Well, these are my kids with this technology in the NBC Experience store in 48th Street in Midtown. So it's not just the South Bronx thing. And again, when kids from the poorest congressional district can design, build, and install a wall in the heart of Rockefeller Center for ecotourism, that's what I call a si se puede moment. More importantly, it's jobs then, now, today, tomorrow, and into the future, because these are living things that need maintenance. So that's what it's all about. Scholastic, in fact, I like to say. But when the Bronx Borough President and State Senator come to my classroom in the poorest congressional district in America, it's proof that the Bronx can change attitudes now. And more importantly, we're changing America now. Because for me, it's really all about literacy. And when kids get involved and teachers get involved, I had this concept, which you're going to appreciate. Let's get grandma involved. Because sadly, in my community, we have a whole lot of police. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. But no, and that's a whole separate talk. But no one wants to be accountable to grandma. So I realized if we started feeding grandma, we were going to change everything. And that we did. We got grandma coming to school, IEPs signed, letters signed, parent-teacher conferences. We had outstanding turnout. And I realized we were growing more than food and vegetables. We were growing for justice. And then the remarkable thing is that my kids from the poorest congressional district in America started translating this across New York City. So I call this a former 911 moment, and I'll tell you why, too. 311 moment, where we're spreading commonality around certain things. And when these kids can come together with diversity like this for the betterment of all of New York City, that's a true si se puede moment. So I like this concept of designing a strong and healthy New York. And I love the online resources. And believe it or not, with a little bit of intuition and a whole lot of hard work, in 6 months, my classroom in the South Bronx of America became the greenest classroom in New York City, which is really rather remarkable. And let me tell you about these kids. As these kids started to give and get, we felt this need to give back. I have the highest percentage of homeless kids in New York City. Most of my kids come to me with baggage you can't imagine. But if my kids in the poorest congressional district in America could take their farmers market proceeds and sponsor orphanages in Haiti and Africa, sending the technology overseas, and making sure that every kid gets a gift on Christmas, imagine collectively what all of America could do. So there's something green for everybody, and lo and behold, we gave birth to this thing called the Green Bronx Machine. Well, what does it look like? Well, everyone talks about STEM, 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 but I want to talk about STEAM, because A is for art, advocacy, and aspiration, and what does it really look like? Well, it looks like kids taking pizza boxes and designing them chairs. But my school is 2 blocks from here. This is where I teach. At the bottom of that hill is that big garbage. My school is 2 blocks in. This is hot as hell in the summer. It is cold in the winter, and every time it rains, that water goes right down that hill into that garbage. That's not good for anybody. So what would a little art, advocacy, and aspiration look like? Well, isn't it cool to see kids drawing and reading? But isn't it cooler to see this, kids getting out voting, writing grants? And now I get misty-eyed because last summer, here we are marching up that block. That's the power of community development. And many years ago, just like one building and one resident left and burned to the ground, we now have business after business after business, because one good business brings another good business. So you don't have to live in the South Bronx to really appreciate the benefits. You could live here or you could work here, but you could be an absentee landlord paying a lot of money for rent, for gas and electric. Not anymore, because we brought down the heat in the winter down to 80 degrees, and the heat in the summer down to 80 degrees instead of 160. So that's a cost savings for everybody. So what does it look like for me? Well, these are my future farmers of America, and we're pulling up blacktop across the South Bronx to do this. Again, we're feeding people year-round without a food stamp or a fingerprint, regardless of your politic, and to me, that's important. So somewhere over the rainbow, my friends, is the South Bronx of America. I click my heels every day I go home. But what does it really look like? Someone asked me if I'm a Yankee fan. No more little Knicks and little Yankees and little Jets. I want kids, little broccolis, little mushrooms, little carrots. That's who and what I want. I want kids to come alive and know where their food comes from. Listen, when they start at this young age in a cement backyard, they're going to grow up eating healthy stuff, and for me, that's game on, battle won. I mean, when kids pay attention to details like this, and Omar and Harry know the carrots come from out of the ground instead of through a styrofoam bag in a bulletproof window through a big obese cafeteria worker. That's the kind of moral victory I love. So we are feeding kids in the South Bronx in ways we've never imagined. And most importantly, when you get the big guy out of the middle and get big Jose accountable to little Jose, we're creating intergenerational concepts where kids are growing and learning and feeding each other together. We're even teaching kids how to shop. That's a game changer, because most people don't know, and you'll notice there's no bulletproof window here. Now, this is my classroom. These are my kids. This is my green graffiti. Ho, ho, ho. That's our cement. I mean, this is the kind of technology that we're using in the middle of the South Bronx. Why? Because we can do this. We must do this. And you see, happy kids, engaged kids, Cinco de Mayo. I got to tell you, those are my kids going home every other week with bags of groceries. We're growing pumpkin patches on top of the 4 train. And then guess what? We get to grow them and cook them and eat them in class and have pumpkin pie. How cool is that? Now, if you're rich and affluent, we're delighted to come and sell you and install you a koi pond. Traverse City, hello, we travel. But in the middle of Fordham Road, I'm growing corn to create awareness for people. I'm taking garbage with kids and reconfiguring it into window farms so that kids can reconfigure the way we feed not only ourselves, but developing nations and hungry people around the world. And that's really rooted in science and technology and advocacy that's going to benefit everybody. Now, I don't expect every kid to be a farmer, but I do expect them to read about it, write about it, blog about it, do the math, outstanding customer service, and be polite. And guess what? They are, and that's how it works. Now, I got to tell you, I'm a protective parent. I'd much rather see kids pollinating plants instead of each other. And when I tell kids to be quiet because the plants are having sex, you can hear a pin drop. So, these are my kids. This is my classroom. Where does that food go? 0 miles to plate, straight into the cafeteria, right downstairs. How cool is that? The rest go to our local farmers market where we're making money. Other than that, we donate food to local soup kitchens where, sadly, most of my kids are getting 2 meals a day. We're taking it anywhere and everywhere. And the coolest thing in my urban farm is no sneakers or no uniforms are ever ruined on my urban farm. You know, sneakers can exist, so can the basketball court. And, you know, I'm proving in the South Bronx that blackfield, brownfield, toxic waste field, you know, talk about certain cities that we're close to that are toxic. We can grow food exponentially and profitably year-round. My flower sales, I'm putting the bake sale to shame. We sold out. We're taking orders all year round, and it all starts with seeds. Kids are doing this, not me. I mean, this is a former 911 moment, now a 311 moment, when you can bring kids from as disparate a background in some of the communities I work together for this kind of work and this kind of togetherness. That's a great thing. So let me tell you about the kids. From 40% attendance to 93% attendance. We're all winners. Everyone there is either working or in college. And what does it look like? Happy kids, happy families, amazed people. Behold the glory and bounty that is Bronx County. I grow 7 kinds of mint in my class, and the kids taste and go, you could make candy out of that, mister. You think? Well, I tell them, put it in a pot and cook it up. But here's the big myth. The big myth is that communities of marginalized communities don't want access to healthy food. Well, I'm here to show you we sell out every day. And, you know, now we're looking at new technology, which is really remarkable. I like to say the borough that gave birth to funky beets and baggy pants and funky fresh beets is now home to organically grown red ones. And we're experimenting with all kinds of technology. But 30,000 pounds of vegetables later, my favorite crop is organically grown citizens, graduates, members of the middle class, and kids who do this remarkable thing called vote and stay out of prison. So please help me take lots that go like this and turn them into this, freestanding economic entities that flood food deserts with fresh food and also create living wage jobs. Because I don't see barriers, I see places to plant. And at the end of the day, no matter what city you are, we are all, what city you're from, we're all dedicated to making health equality a reality. When you teach kids to revision their community, they take ownership of it in ways you can't imagine. And really, it's simple. Cultivate, propagate, replicate. I've got a lot of energy. Help me use it. So I want to show you 5 days in the life of the seed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5 days in the life of Green Bronx Machine. And this is how fast it happens. 5 days of growth. 25 days later, that's a couple of $100 worth of product. No wonder why we're Bronx proud. We're farming, and you know it. Now, there are buildings that look like this all over the country, and this is what really gets me excited, besides the fact that that one has a naturally occurring green roof, is because this is the reality of so many cities, except for one thing. We're doing something real different. We're planting right inside. We're going year-round, and those are on wheels so I can have people on wheelchairs in between. And this is year-round food production. We are doing it. Just like Michael says, just do it. Well, we are. I'm here to share my passion. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to share yours. Please, like Green Bronx Machine on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. You'll send a message to my kids. It's not me doing it, it's them. So they write you back, not me. Everyone thinks it's me. But please, send them a message. I have a TED Talk. It's called Steve and Ritz Growing Green in the South Bronx. Please see it. But most importantly, get the biggest bully out of public schools tomorrow. You, we, us can stop this because cheap food is so damn expensive, it's killing this nation. So please, the biggest bully in school is that. It's not the principal, it's not the girl with the mustache or the big kid with the tattoos, it's this. This is what's killing us, and we can stop it tomorrow. Keep kids out of places that look like this. Model a healthy plate. That's a bag with 99 cents worth of locally Bronx-grown food in it. That's a new paradigm for me, and think about how upsold that could be in a Whole Foods or a nice market. That's a Bronx pepper. These are Bronx kids. Vegucate kids. Teach them to cook. But most importantly, love kids. Now, the reality is Hurricane Sandy taught us one big thing, that no pack group can bribe the laws of nature. And for me, that's inherently exciting because it means we're going to get it right someday. So I believe that we can go from a nation of red states and blue states to a nation of green states. Living eloquently and ecologically with nature, it is time for us to become a country of indigenous citizens once again. Reducing our footprint. Why? Because we are Americans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Mexicans, Africans who are really changing the way we live not only here but abroad. And again, 45 years later, civil rights, education, and the environment still remain the biggest obstacles. So I'm thrilled to be partnering with the U.S. Green Building Council to focus on where kids learn, because where we learn matters. And my mindset is easy. It is easier to raise healthy children than fix broken men, unless, of course, you're in the corrections industry. But for the rest of you who are not, it is easier to raise healthy children than fix broken men. It's also easier to build healthy cities. Thank you. So it's time we get started. It is time we get started. Thank you. Now, here's some nutty statistics. 25% of the population in America goes to school every day. There are 133,000 schools. That's 4,300 colleges and universities. Thank you for hosting us here. That's this, people. And the reality is 72% of all Americans are committed to schools, green schools in this generation. And most importantly, 82% of all Americans are more likely to want to do business with a company that supports public education. That's market share, and think about global. So, music, please. Maybe not. Okay. I want you to think, because some people see this. Sadly, the mindset is to see that. But I am here to tell you, Traverse City, and anybody else who's listening, opportunity is now here. This is our moment. So I'm here to share a big idea with you. And it's simply this. I don't need another blue ribbon commission to tell me what's wrong with public schools or a 12-point management plan. I need committed partners. You can let it play. We need people to show kids that the sky is the limit, to engage their future employees and customer base. A win-win and win paradigm where together we all prosper. Now this little guy Kermit, 45 years ago, who even thought he'd be around? But he has invented a lens on sustainability that makes me realize we are all little tadpoles. We need to take one big green leap, embrace your frog, and kiss your big green roof. That's me in the middle of Harlem growing corn. Embrace you're in a greenhouse. That's me in Harlem with a 25-foot green wall under a train, people. It's remarkable. So plant a plant, plant a seed, work with kids, do something. But every kid in America deserves a future like this because every kid deserves clean air and fresh water. I'm in the process of trying to create national awareness with this via a movie. 2 weeks ago, I was on the Today Show, me, showing people it is possible to eat off a wall in the heart of New York City. So help me get to this side of paradise. You know, it's easy. Design, build, and transform. We spoke about, everybody's been speaking about this. Because at the end of the day, it is about together. We can all prosper. Win, win, and win. Now, you know, some people see this, impossible. And a year ago, I gave a TED Talk wearing this shirt. There is no impossible. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm possible. And if I could go from this to this, so can you, eating the food that I grow with kids in New York City. So, my little Mitten Barack need you. You know, kids really are our greatest natural resource. And as we get close to graduation now, I want you to think about the class of 2025. Take a look at those kids. We have gone from decades of lost opportunity, perilously close to what is sadly the decade maybe of the last, because if we don't get it right for them, we're going to tip this thing. So we really need to get it together. Listen, we have everything to gain and nothing to lose, but we need you. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The White Knight isn't coming. Superman is a comic book. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So are you ready, people? When I say people, you say power. People. Power. People. Power. Great, thank you. Listen, no matter where your journey takes you, mine is taking me to speak to you, and thank you for listening to me. But along the way, please take time to smell the flowers, especially if you and your students have grown them. I'm Steve Ritz from Bronx, Michigan. I got passion for my plans, and I'm not afraid to show it. Thanks kindly. Have a good night. Si se puede. Thank you.